Professor Nathan Wells had discovered something that shouldn't be possible. Every extinct civilization, across millions of years and thousands of light-years of distance, had left behind the exact same prophecy. Not similar prophecies. Not variations on a theme. The identical prophecy, preserved in their archives, recorded in their historical records, mentioned in their final transmissions. The prophecy stated, a civilization will arise that achieves great technological power. They will face a choice between expansion and restraint. If they choose expansion, they will dominate briefly, then collapse catastrophically. If they choose restraint, they will transcend, but the universe will never know them. Either way, the choice is inevitable and the outcome predetermined. Every dead civilization had faced this prophecy and every single one had chosen expansion. They had dominated, conquered, expanded across their sectors of space, and within generations, they had collapsed. War, environmental destruction, cultural fragmentation, or simple unsustainability had ended them all. The prophecy seemed to be a cosmic law. An inescapable fate. Until humanity read it. Professor Wells brought his findings to Earth's Global Council with a mixture of excitement and dread. The council convened the world's greatest minds, philosophers, scientists, economists, spiritual leaders, to discuss the implications. For weeks, they debated. The prophecy seemed to offer only two paths, both ending in either visible failure or invisible transcendence. Neither seemed acceptable. Both seemed like traps designed by some cosmic intelligence to ensure all civilizations either destroyed themselves or withdrew from existence. Then Dr. Amara Okonkwo, a philosopher and systems theorist, proposed something radical. What if the prophecy itself was the trap? The prophecy presents a false binary, she argued. Expansion or restraint. Visibility or transcendence. But what if there's a third option? What if a civilization could expand and remain visible? What if they could achieve great power while maintaining ethical restraint? What if transcendence didn't require invisibility? The council debated her proposal intensely. It seemed to violate the logic of the prophecy. But gradually, they realized something crucial. The prophecy had been written by civilizations observing from within the binary. It had never been tested by a civilization that deliberately rejected both options. Humanity decided to break the prophecy. They would expand, but not through conquest. They would develop technology, but not for domination. They would grow in power while deliberately constraining how they used that power. They would remain visible and engaged with the cosmos while developing the wisdom usually associated with transcendence. The transformation took decades. Humanity restructured their entire civilization around a principle they called constrained expansion. They developed technology rapidly but implemented strict ethical frameworks for its use. They expanded across space through cooperation rather than conquest. They shared knowledge freely rather than hoarding it. They built alliances based on mutual benefit rather than strategic advantage. Most crucially, they refused the prophecy's implicit assumption that great power inevitably corrupts. Instead, they built systems specifically designed to prevent that corruption: transparent governance, distributed authority, cultural emphasis on collective responsibility. Word of humanity's approach spread across the galaxy. Species that had read the prophecy and despaired suddenly saw an alternative. The Valorians, who had been preparing for inevitable collapse according to prophecy, began implementing similar systems. The Zethians, who had been considering withdrawal into transcendence, chose instead to remain engaged. Even older species, who had gone silent believing the prophecy inevitable, began re-engaging with the cosmos. 100 years after humanity's decision to break the prophecy, an ancient archive activated, one that hadn't transmitted in 3 million years. The message came from the civilization that had originally created the prophecy. We wrote the prophecy believing it was a law of nature. We believed it described an inescapable pattern. But we were wrong. The pattern was not inevitable. It was a choice. A choice made by every civilization before you, but a choice nonetheless. You have proven that a civilization can achieve great power, remain visible and engaged, and choose ethical restraint simultaneously. You have broken the prophecy not through transcendence or hidden wisdom, but through something simpler, refusing to accept that power and morality are incompatible. The message continued, "This is why we have returned from silence. You have demonstrated something we thought impossible, a species that is both powerful and wise, both expansive and restrained, both visible and evolved." The prophecy was never a law. It was a test. And you are the first civilization to pass it by rejecting its false premises. Professor Wells stood in the memorial built to commemorate humanity's decision, a monument inscribed with the original prophecy, now marked as superseded and broken. Humanity hadn't transcended the prophecy through mysticism or hidden knowledge. They had broken it through something far more powerful, the refusal to accept predetermined outcomes. Sometimes, the greatest victory wasn't fulfilling destiny. It was choosing to write a different story entirely.